Some plants feel like old friends. You water them every few days, wipe their leaves, maybe whisper to them while making your morning coffee. They sit quietly in corners or hang by the window, part of the background you barely notice anymore. But what if one of them, just one, isn't just decoration? What if it's shifting the energy of your entire home? In over 30 years of working with homes and energy patterns, I've seen a repeating theme. Certain plants, often the most beautiful, common, or low maintenance, can quietly disrupt the emotional and energetic balance of a space. Not because they are evil, not because of superstition, but because everything in your environment either helps energy move or makes it stick. And stuck energy doesn't just sit there. It starts to weigh on your body, your focus, your sleep, your mood. This isn't about believing in ghosts or throwing away your garden. It's about knowing what your home is quietly reflecting back to you. Some plants lower the energetic tone of a space, just like certain music can make a room feel heavier. Some plants block the natural flow of light, breath, and intention. Some carry shapes and growth patterns that symbolize emotional stagnation, boundary issues, or even financial hesitation. Today, I'm going to walk you through 7 specific plants that may be silently interfering with your home's ability to recharge you. You might be surprised. Some are considered elegant. Others are widely sold at garden centers or gifted by people with the best intentions. But when placed near your entryway, bedroom, or common living areas, they may be doing more than you think. Let's look closer, not with fear, but with clarity. Because when you understand the quiet language of space, you begin to see what's truly supporting your life, and what's just taking up energetic room. Number 1, cactus when protection becomes isolation. Cactus is a plant most people don't question. It's trendy, easy to care for, thrives in drought, and looks modern on a windowsill. But just because something survives anywhere doesn't mean it belongs everywhere, especially not in the sacred energy field of your home. If you've ever walked into a space and felt tension without knowing why, chances are it wasn't the lighting or the layout. Sometimes, it's the quiet symbols we've placed around us that speak louder than words. And cactus, with its sharp, defensive shape, is one of those symbols. Its message: stay back, don't get too close. Cacti evolved in harsh, competitive climates. Their entire design is protection first, spikes instead of leaves, thick armor instead of softness. In the wild, that makes sense. But in a living room, in a bedroom, in the heart of your home, that message of defense doesn't turn off just because it's sitting in a ceramic pot. Energy moves through space like water. It responds to shape, intention, and feeling. A home with soft, flowing energy feels warm, open, safe. A home with defensive energy feels stiff, prickly, emotionally guarded. When you place cacti near your entryway, workspace, or family areas, you introduce a note of tension into the atmosphere, the same way a closed fist sends a different message than an open hand. I've worked with families who couldn't understand why their homes, while stylish and organized, felt emotionally cold. Guests didn't linger. Conversations felt strained. Sleep wasn't restful. Again and again, I'd find a cactus sitting quietly by the front door or centered on a coffee table. Beautiful, minimal, and radiating silent hostility. This isn't superstition. It's about how form affects feeling. How what you look at every day can gently shape your nervous system. Cacti trigger a subtle state of alert. Your eyes register danger even if your mind dismisses it. And over time, that adds up, especially for sensitive people, children, or anyone recovering from emotional wounds. Cactus energy can also echo the emotional patterns of the homeowner. People who have been hurt often gravitate toward cactus energy. It makes sense. When trust has been broken, we unconsciously surround ourselves with symbols of protection. But too much protection turns into isolation, and isolation can harden into disconnection. Maybe you're not sleeping well. Maybe your kids argue more than usual. Maybe you're working harder but connecting less. These don't always come from dramatic events. Sometimes they grow from 1,000 quiet cues in our environment telling us to guard, tense up, keep people out. Does that mean you should never own a cactus? Not necessarily. But it does mean you need to be intentional. If a cactus lives in your home, ask yourself where it is, what message it's sending, and whether that message is one you want to live with. Avoid placing cacti near the front door where energy enters. Don't put them in bedrooms where vulnerability and softness should be protected. Keep them away from communal spaces where connection matters. If you love cacti for their beauty, consider softening the space around them. Pair them with round pots, warm textures, or flowing shapes, or relocate them to a private spot, an office shelf, a corner that doesn't carry emotional weight. Your home isn't just where you live. It's where your energy regenerates, where your nervous system unwinds, where your relationships unfold. Every object, every shape, every plant plays a part in that ecosystem. The cactus may be resilient, but resilience without warmth is survival, not life. And your home deserves more than just survival. Take a moment today, walk around your space. Look at every plant not as decor, but as a message. Is it inviting, soft, open, or is it guarded, sharp, distant? You might be surprised what you start to feel when you really pay attention. Because sometimes the prickliest things in your home are the ones quietly asking to be moved. Number 2, weeping willow, a curtain over your fortune. There's something poetic about a weeping willow. The long, delicate branches that sway in the breeze, the soft, graceful motion that makes you want to stop and watch. But beauty in nature doesn't always translate into harmony in the home. In fact, some of the most visually gentle things carry the heaviest energy. And the weeping willow, as lovely as it looks, is one of the most misunderstood trees when it comes to energetic balance. In energy work and spatial flow, the shape of an object matters. Everything in your environment either lifts energy or presses it down. The willow tree with its downward-growing branches creates a subtle but constant pull. Instead of rising and spreading like most trees that channel upward, vibrant energy, the willow draws energy down toward the earth. This movement over time begins to influence the emotional tone of a space. It encourages stillness, sadness, and introspection. These aren't bad in small doses, but when they dominate, they can become emotional fog. Many people plant willows near ponds, yards, or even entryways because they look peaceful. But what they don't see is the curtain effect. The weeping shape acts like a veil, blocking energy that should be entering and circulating freely. Especially near the front of a house, a willow can dim the very first impression of the space. Think of it like standing behind a heavy curtain. You can still see the world, but everything is muted, filtered, slowed down. That's what a willow does to energy. It hushes it, it weighs it down. Clients have told me about homes that felt unusually quiet, not calm, quiet in a heavy way, where people speak softer than they normally would, where motivation seems harder to summon, where time feels slower. Often there's a willow just outside, a tree so beautiful that no one questions its presence, yet energy stops at its base like water pooling in a low ditch. What's more, the symbolism of the willow runs deep. In many cultures, it is associated with mourning, transition, and the afterlife. Again, not inherently negative, but emotionally complex. A space influenced by that energy may feel sacred to some, but stagnant to others. It depends on your season of life. But if you're looking to grow, to expand, to heal, or invite joy, a willow might not be the tree to do that beneath. The question isn't whether the willow is good or bad. It's what it encourages, what it slows, what it holds in place. If you've been feeling stuck, emotionally heavy, or creatively blocked in a home where a willow stands nearby, it may be more than coincidence. Energy responds to shape, to presence, to symbolism. One woman I worked with had a willow in her backyard, right in front of her kitchen window. She said she used to love standing there, watching the branches move while doing dishes. But over time, she noticed she was feeling more lethargic. Her family had stopped gathering in the kitchen as often. Her husband seemed withdrawn. She joked that their house had gotten quiet, but not in a peaceful way. After we relocated the tree farther into the yard and opened the view with lighter, upward-growing plants, she called me months later to say she didn't realize how heavy that energy had been until it was gone. That's the thing about blocked energy. You don't always feel the blockage right away. You feel its symptoms: procrastination, tension, low energy, or the sense that nothing is quite moving. Sometimes you blame your work, your relationship, your age, but often it's the space around you echoing back an energy pattern that no longer serves you. If you have a weeping willow near your home, ask yourself, does this tree make me feel lifted or lulled, invited or withdrawn? Is it offering peace or holding back possibility? And if the answer isn't clear, pay attention to how your body feels when you're near it. We register energy long before we make sense of it. If you feel low, unmotivated, or foggy near that area, that's enough reason to consider a shift. You don't need to cut down the tree, but you can trim it, lighten the space around it, or redirect your main energy entry points away from it. Use brighter, lighter plants to frame your entry. Keep the willow at a visual distance. Let it be part of the background, not the gatekeeper of your home's energy. Your home should feel like air moving through open windows, fluid, light, alive. If something is making that movement feel slowed, filtered, or emotionally dimmed, it deserves your attention. Weeping willows are stunning in a painting, soothing in a park, poetic in memory. But in the space where you breathe, dream, and build your life, they may cast more shadow than you realize. Let your energy rise again. Let your space lift you, not just hold you. Number 3. Ivy, the clinging plant that doesn't let go. At first glance, ivy seems harmless, romantic even. It winds up trellises and walls like something out of a fairy tale. Soft green tendrils curling through fences, softening stone, framing windows with charm. But not everything that wraps around your home is offering protection. Sometimes it's a slow entanglement that you don't notice until it's everywhere, not just outside your walls, but inside your energy field. Ivy is a clinger by nature. It grows by holding on, clutching, spreading without clear direction. In Feng Shui and energy-conscious design, ivy is one of the most symbolically disruptive plants. Its movement lacks boundary. Its growth patterns mirror emotional enmeshment, relationships where one person slowly dissolves into another, or where the past slowly overtakes the present. And when ivy is allowed to spread near the entryways, corners, or walls of a home, it doesn't just change the visual landscape. It starts to shift the flow of energy itself. A home with clean, open lines supports clarity of mind. A home where energy can move freely invites new ideas, better sleep, lighter moods. Ivy does the opposite. It wraps. It covers. It softens edges, yes, but also blocks light, obscures path lines, and builds an environment where energy pools instead of flows. I've been in homes where ivy covered the front entry so thoroughly, guests had to brush it aside to enter. And while the homeowners thought it looked cozy, their house felt closed. The air was still. Conversations dragged. Children were irritable. No one could quite put a finger on why. Energy doesn't need loud signals to shift. It only takes consistent messages. And when ivy surrounds your doors and windows, that message becomes clear. This house is closing in. This house is holding on, not moving forward, not letting go. And over time, you may find your own behavior mirroring that environment, holding onto relationships you've outgrown, carrying stories that no longer serve, feeling confused, stuck, or emotionally tired without knowing why. There's also the symbolic tie between ivy and memory. It grows in old gardens, covers gravestones, climbs ruins. It survives through clinging to moisture, to walls, to what's no longer alive. So when it surrounds your home, it may subtly reinforce emotional stagnation. The inability to clear, to renew, to make space for new chapters. That doesn't mean ivy is inherently bad. In controlled spaces, it can be lovely, but it should never be allowed to take over, especially not at the front door, the windows, or the heart of where energy enters and exits. One woman I worked with had ivy growing over her kitchen window. She loved the privacy, the way it filtered the light. But she also hadn't cooked in that kitchen for months. She stopped hosting. Her family started eating apart. The space became quiet, distant, emotionally dull. After she cleared the ivy and brought in sunlight again, she said it felt like someone had opened a window in her chest. That was her body's response to unblocked energy, and it changed everything. The more ivy you allow to grow unchecked, the more you risk building a home that becomes a mirror of unresolved emotion. Ivy doesn't offer space, it takes it. It doesn't support structure, it smothers it. A home should feel like breath, expanding, releasing, shifting with the seasons of your life. When a plant wraps itself around your walls, your entryways, your light, it can start to do the same with your thoughts, your energy, your path forward. So take a look. Not just at the ivy on your walls, but at what else in your life is clinging where it no longer belongs. What needs trimming back? What needs releasing? What part of your space needs air again? You don't have to tear it all down. Ivy can still be part of your landscape as long as you guide it, contain it. Keep your energy pathways, your doorways, windows, and inner thresholds clear. Growth is beautiful when it knows where it's going. But when it spreads without intention, it can turn beauty into burden. Make sure your home reflects the life you want to grow into, not the past you're trying to untangle from. Number 4, bonsai a beautiful life that never grows. There's something captivating about a bonsai tree. It feels like a poem in a pot. Every tiny branch meticulously shaped, every root constrained just enough to maintain the illusion of natural perfection. And for many, that's the appeal, a symbol of control, calm, and beauty in miniature. But beneath that visual serenity lies a quieter truth. The bonsai is a living thing that has been shaped, limited, and contained from the inside out. And when placed in the energy field of your home, that symbolism doesn't stay in the pot. It echoes. In Feng Shui and energy awareness, symbols matter. What you place at the heart of your space reflects what you invite into your life. And the bonsai, while beautiful, is a symbol of constrained growth. It doesn't grow wild. It doesn't reach for the sun. It is trimmed to stay small. Its roots are not allowed to wander. Its shape is imposed, not chosen. For some people, especially those seeking structure or stillness, that may be comforting. But for others, it becomes a silent message. Don't expand, don't change, don't become more than what's been allowed. I've walked into homes where a bonsai sat like a jewel on the entry table. Elegant, immaculate, and yet the house felt strangely stilled, as though everything inside had been paused. The family couldn't quite name it, but there was a quiet stagnation. Projects half finished. Dreams talked about but never started. Children feeling pressure to perform but not express. Over time, we began to see the pattern. The desire for perfection had replaced the permission to grow. It's not that the bonsai causes problems, but it represents a mindset, a belief that beauty lies in control, that to be admired, you must be shaped. That chaos must be pruned at all costs. And for those who are already living with pressure, with high standards, or in environments where self-expression feels risky, the bonsai becomes a visual reinforcement of the need to stay in line. Energy is not just about how a space looks, but how it breathes, how it moves. A bonsai, for all its charm, does not breathe freely. It lives in a container designed to hold it back. And when placed near key energy points, like the front door, the bedroom, or the center of the home, its symbolism can subtly influence the emotional climate. Restraint over flow, control over curiosity, stillness over momentum. One client told me her home office had always felt uninspiring. Despite new furniture, fresh paint, and good lighting, she avoided the space. It wasn't until we noticed the bonsai she had placed next to her desk, a gift from a colleague, that the energy pattern clicked. It looks successful, she said, but I never feel creative in there. We moved the bonsai to a reading nook, a place meant for stillness, not expansion, and replaced it with a tall, leafy plant that could reach upward. Within weeks, her work energy shifted. This is the power of subtle energy. It's not about fear or overreacting. It's about listening to what the space is quietly telling you. Is your home inviting you to grow, or is it asking you to shrink to fit a shape that isn't yours? Bonsai trees are not inherently negative. They are art, they are history, they are meditations in form, but they need context. They belong in places of reflection, contemplation, stillness, meditation corners, private studies, places where pausing is the point, not at the entryway to your life, not at the gateway to your energy. If you have a bonsai, ask yourself, what does it represent to me? What does it reinforce in my home's emotional tone? Am I displaying it because it brings me peace or because it suggests an image I feel I must maintain? And then ask, is this the energy I want to grow in? Your home should reflect your potential, not your containment. Growth isn't always tidy. Real expansion often requires mess, mistakes, change, and that's okay, that's life. A space filled with possibility welcomes imperfection. It allows for roots to stretch and branches to explore. It says, you're safe to be more than what you were yesterday. So if you're in a season of growth, starting something new, healing something old, or simply trying to breathe more deeply, consider where the bonsai lives in your home and whether that place might be better served by something less controlled. Let your space hold the message, I'm allowed to grow, I'm allowed to expand, I'm allowed to take up space. The bonsai will still be beautiful, but now so will the space it no longer contains. Number 5. Papaya, the tree that holds but doesn't flow. At a glance, the papaya tree doesn't look like a problem. It grows fast, gives fruit, and often sprouts up on its own, like nature offering abundance without you even asking. But not all abundance flows, and not everything that grows easily is meant to stay. In energy work, papaya carries a paradox. It holds so much, yet it moves so little. And that imbalance can echo through your home in ways you may not expect. Papaya trees are hollow. Inside their tall, straight trunks is a soft, water-holding cavity that looks strong but doesn't carry structural weight. In the natural world, this is a survival adaptation. But in the energy world, it symbolizes blocked flow, life force that's stored but stuck. You can feel it in spaces where there's enough money, enough love, enough effort, but nothing seems to move. Goals stall, emotions linger, sleep feels heavy, days feel repetitive. It's like living in a home where the air is full but doesn't circulate. I've seen this pattern in houses where papaya trees grow too close to the foundation. Clients report feeling financially okay, but emotionally uneasy. They say things like, we should be happier, or nothing's wrong, but something feels off. The energy is there, but it's not reaching them. It's held, not flowing, and over time, that kind of energetic buildup can make even joyful homes feel dull. There's also something to be said about how papaya often plants itself. It shows up in corners, behind sheds, along walls, not placed with intention, but allowed by default. That alone carries energy. Because what grows without invitation often becomes what you forget to notice. And the things we forget to notice have the most power over us. In energy language, papaya trees can signal the presence of outdated blessings, things that once served you but no longer do. Like savings you're afraid to touch, or routines you keep because they used to work, or relationships that feel familiar but no longer nourish. These trees represent what we've held on to just in case. But living just in case is not the same as living well. One woman I worked with had papaya trees lining the side of her home. They grew quickly, and she never thought much about them. But she also hadn't made a financial decision in over a year. She kept putting off trips, upgrades, even small pleasures. Her house was paid off. Her job stable, but her energy frozen. She called it playing it safe. But the deeper truth was this: she was afraid to let energy move. The papayas were just a mirror. Removing them wasn't about getting rid of beauty or fruitfulness. It was about restoring flow. We cleared the overgrowth, replanted intentional vegetation, and opened space around her home's walls. Within weeks, she began to act differently, booking things, rearranging rooms, donating items she'd been saving. Her home began to breathe again, and so did she. If you have papaya trees growing near your home, ask, were they planted with intention or did they simply arrive? Are they inviting energy in or holding it back? Do they nourish your space or clutter it quietly? Not all growth is good, especially when it's rooted in fear, stagnation, or the avoidance of movement. Your home should be a place where energy flows freely, money, joy, ideas, love, not stored just in case, but lived in full right now. Let your trees reflect that. Let your space be a channel, not a container. You deserve a life that doesn't just grow, but moves, renews, and keeps becoming. Number 6. Oleander when beauty wears a mask. Oleander is breathtaking at first sight. It blooms generously, wears bright colors, and thrives even in the harshest conditions. It's the kind of plant that makes a space feel cared for, vibrant, intentional, alive. But beauty, especially when it hides something deeper, can be misleading. And in the case of oleander, that beauty comes with a hidden cost, because behind those blossoms is one of the most poisonous plants you can grow. Now, this isn't about fear, it's about awareness. Oleander carries a dual message, one of bold external charm and quiet internal toxicity. It flourishes in full sun, resists drought, and seems to thrive where other plants fail. But it's also known for being toxic to pets, children, and even adults if ingested. Symbolically, it represents something many homes struggle with: the pressure to appear beautiful and strong on the outside, while silently carrying pain, tension, or danger underneath. In energy-conscious design, oleander isn't just a decorative shrub, it's a message. When planted near the entrance of a home, it can unconsciously signal a space where surface beauty is maintained at the cost of emotional authenticity, where guests feel welcome but not necessarily safe, where everything looks perfect but something underneath feels off. I've visited homes that looked like magazine spreads, every pillow fluffed, every corner curated. But when I stepped in, the energy didn't match the image. It felt tight, a little too quiet, a little too controlled, and almost always oleander was nearby, not because the plant caused the energy, but because the energy found a match in the plant, strong on the outside, closed on the inside. Oleander also resists decay. Its cuttings last, its blossoms hold. In symbolic terms, it carries the energy of holding on too long to a role, a reputation, an image. It supports environments where emotional truth is buried for the sake of presentation, where vulnerability is hidden behind performance. One client had oleanders lining both sides of her front gate. She loved how they made the entrance look grand, but she also shared how hard it was for her to be vulnerable at home. She said, "I always feel like I have to keep it together even when I'm falling apart inside." The plant, the placement, the energy, they all mirrored that emotional structure. When she finally replaced them with soft, open, blooming flowers, something shifted. She cried for the first time in years, she said, not from sadness, from release. Oleander isn't evil, but it asks a question: what do you prioritize in your space, appearance or energy, image or truth, strength or softness? It's possible to have both, but when the balance tips toward performance, the soul of the home begins to suffocate. If you have oleander near your home, especially by your entry, ask, is it here because it thrives, or because it hides? Does it make your space feel alive or armored? What would it feel like to create a space where beauty and safety coexist, where softness isn't sacrificed for structure? Your home should feel like somewhere you can fall apart if needed, somewhere that holds you, not just impresses others. And that means filling it with elements that support authenticity, healing, and ease. Oleander teaches us something powerful: that not everything beautiful is nourishing, that not everything strong is safe, and that sometimes letting go of what dazzles on the outside is the first step to softening what hurts on the inside. Let your space reflect your truth, even if it's messy, even if it's wild, because real beauty, the kind that heals and invites and stays, has nothing to hide. Number 7. Ficus, a tree where time stands still. The ficus tree is often chosen for its easy beauty. It grows tall indoors, its leaves glossy and generous. It gives the impression of vitality, of life held gently in a corner, softening the edges of a room. But while ficus thrives in stillness, that stillness can sometimes go too far. Because in homes where energy needs movement, the ficus can become a silent anchor. Not grounding, but pausing. Not stabilizing, but stalling. Ficus is notoriously finicky. It reacts to small shifts, light, temperature, humidity. A single move and it sheds its leaves, and yet we keep it. Because once it settles, it seems peaceful. But peaceful isn't always what a home needs, especially in moments of growth, grief, or transition. The ficus doesn't like change, it resists it. And in resisting, it quietly teaches your space to do the same. I've seen this again and again in homes that feel stuck in time. Where the furniture hasn't moved in years, where projects are forever paused, where decisions hang in the air, heavy and undecided. And so often a ficus tree stands in the corner, thriving but not helping, holding the same posture it has for years, as if keeping everything just as it is. Symbolically, the ficus holds the energy of holding on, not in a nostalgic way, but in a suspended one, a refusal to shift, a quiet insistence that this is fine. Even when it isn't, it becomes a tree of emotional inertia, and for people going through life transitions, a divorce, retirement, empty nesting, or healing, it can unintentionally slow the very momentum that wants to rise. One client, recently widowed, kept a ficus her husband had bought 15 years ago. It had grown tall, nearly touching the ceiling. She said it was the only thing that still felt familiar. But the house had grown dim, quiet. Her grief didn't move. When she finally chose to relocate the ficus to an outdoor space and bring in fresh greenery, the shift was immediate. "I could breathe again," she said. "The house didn't feel like a shrine anymore." That's the kind of energy ficus can trap, a moment in time that never passes, a season that doesn't cycle. And while honoring memory is important, homes are meant to evolve with us. A tree that resists movement, resists light, and resists change can eventually encourage the same in your own energy field. If you have a ficus, ask, when did it come into your life? What season did it begin in? And what season are you in now? Does it support that shift or silently resist it? Your answers may not be immediate, but your body will know. Stand beside it. Notice your breath. Do you feel open or do you feel held still? Ficus can be part of a home's landscape, but not at its energetic core. Keep it in places where stillness is welcome, a reading nook, a quiet hallway, a resting room. But don't let it guard your entry. Don't let it center your living room. Don't let it define the space where life wants to move. Because homes should have rhythm. They should reflect the seasons of your becoming, not trap you in who you were when the plant first arrived. Energy needs air, movement, change. And if one tree quietly anchors you in a time that no longer fits, then maybe it's time for something new to take root. Let the ficus be a memory, not a map. Your future deserves a living room where time moves forward again. Maybe as you watched this video, you thought about a plant in your own home. Maybe it reminded you of something you've been holding onto, a routine, a memory, a version of yourself that doesn't quite fit anymore. And maybe, just maybe, you felt a quiet pull to make a change. What we surround ourselves with isn't just decoration. It's conversation. Silent, ongoing conversations between your body, your thoughts, and the space you wake up in every morning. Each plant we spoke about today isn't just a botanical detail. It's a symbol of energy patterns, of emotional echoes, of what we allow to grow around us, and what we quietly permit to stay even when it no longer serves us. This isn't about fear or blame or superstition. It's about awareness. You deserve a space that lifts you, that renews you, that doesn't just keep you safe, but makes you feel deeply, quietly alive. And that means choosing with intention, energy you invite in. So if there's a tree, a plant, a corner that now feels different, trust that. Your body knows what your mind sometimes forgets. That energy is real. That stillness can be heavy. That beauty can sometimes be a mask. And that even the smallest shift, a trimmed branch, a moved pot, an opened path, can open something much larger inside you. Thank you for walking through this with me, for staying with every word, for letting this message settle into your own rhythm. Wherever you are in your life's journey, healing, growing, searching, or simply breathing, I hope your home begins to reflect not just who you've been, but who you're becoming. Wishing you light in the corners you forgot to notice, softness where you've been hard, and flow in every part of your life that deserves to move again. Until next time, may your space hold you gently, and may you continue becoming everything the old energy tried to keep small.